Campaign is about all of us. It is about our families, our friends, our children, their schools, our jobs, and our future. And it is about all the things that make this part of the world great, and about how we're not getting what we're supposed to from Albany. We live in a beautiful place, don't we? The lakes are out there, the stunning gorges and waterfalls, the rolling hills, and the land that gives us so much: apples, every vegetable you can imagine, dairy with wonderful cheeses, wine, beer. I moved here 15 years ago with my wonderful husband, Cody, and am enormously fortunate to have decided to raise our family here and make this our home. We fell in love with this gorgeous place a decade and a half ago. But more and more people are leaving this region. Our young people are leaving because they can't find a future here. I meet parents and grandparents who tell me that their children can't stay when they finish school because they can't find jobs. I meet students who tell me they're going to leave their homes because they can't afford it here. Our taxes are through the roof, but our children's schools get less than schools in other parts of the state. It's no child's fault where that child gets born, and every child should have equal opportunity for education. But right here in the richest state in the country, with our sky-high taxes, the water has been shut off in my children's school for the past 3 years because the pipes are rotted. Garbage bags are over top of the drinking fountains. You can't wash your hands in the bathroom sinks. There's bottled water coolers up and down the hallways for years now. And it's not just our school infrastructure. Our bridges are crumbling around us. Let me tell you what I'm talking about. There's a big, expensive subway in New York City, and that's great because you need mass transit in a city like that, but it costs billions of dollars. And they get billions of dollars from the state. Here we don't have a subway. We have buses, and a lot of us drive our cars. So there's a pot of money called the Dedicated Bridge and Highway Trust Fund. And that point of that fund is dedicated to bridges and highways, as it says in the name. It's supposed to pay for safe roads for our cars and buses to drive on. But Albany only gives us 23 cents out of every dollar in that fund. The rest goes somewhere other than bridges and roads. The real kicker is that those billions that Albany spends on the New York City subway, more of those subway cars could be made right here in Cornell. We have companies right here that are world-class experts in rail component construction. But there is no buy New York first rule in New York. So our tax dollars pay for subway parts that New York buys from overseas companies instead of from us. That sure seems wrong when our taxes are so high and we could create jobs here. And we need jobs. My opponent doesn't think so. He actually said, and this is a direct quote, "There are plenty of jobs here for people who want them." But the folks that I hear from sure don't see that. When he's taking one paycheck home from the taxpayers and another paycheck from his side job at a lobbying firm, he's telling us there are plenty of jobs and everything's fine. My opponent might talk a good game, but when he goes to Albany, he votes for programs that shortchange us. On childcare, the state funds universal pre-kindergarten for kids in New York City, but not here. How does that make sense? Pre-K is good for kids and good for working parents, whether you live in Bath or Brooklyn, Cornell or Harlem. And Albany has promised to pay for a third of our community colleges' budgets, as long as counties come up with their part through property taxes. But every year, that state money just doesn't show up. We don't have a seat at the table, and we need one. Every time I see another downtown like Watkins Glen or Elmira get a $10 million grant, I'm thrilled. The Downtown Revitalization Initiative, you see these $10 million grants coming through. That comes from really hard work by local citizens who spend years on those grants. And our local advocates deserve real applause. But my question for Albany politicians who show up at the ribbon cutting and try to take credit for that is, what are you doing with the billions in taxes that we pay while you're making us fight Hunger Games style over crumbs? The difference between a $10 million grant and $1 billion is the same as the difference between a $1 candy bar and a $100 grocery shopping trip for the week. I'm not clapping for the guy who was supposed to go get groceries for the week and comes back with one candy bar. The fact is, the folks in Albany spend our sky-high tax dollars to reward their political friends instead of growing jobs here. When cities here are the only places in the entire country that still haven't come out of the 2008 Great Recession, we're getting a raw deal. It's time to stop settling for less. We've had 40 years of broken promises, and we can't keep making the same choice and expecting things to change. Cody and I have 2 daughters, and they're growing up. They're in 9th grade and 5th grade this year. And I don't want them to move away. But that's what's happening for families all over our region year after year. I've had enough. I'm standing up because we need someone who's working for us. I'm a Democrat, and I'm proud of it. Who else here is a proud Democrat? Awesome. Give yourselves a round of applause. So not everyone is a Democrat, and that's okay, but I'll tell you what it means to me. It means that those of us with less don't pay more than those of us with more. It means we make sure all children can go to public schools, no matter what zip code they live in. It means we respect each other for our differences, and we honor and celebrate those differences. Black, brown, trans, cis, Jewish, Muslim, senior, young. It means women control their own bodies. And it means we stand on the shoulder of labor unions that got rid of child labor and got us our weekends. And it means that everyone, and I mean everyone, should have health care that doesn't bankrupt them for getting sick. But we need to fight for this. We've been settling for less, and we can't settle anymore because the stakes are too high. I'm Leslie Danks Burke. I'm a mother. I'm a decades-long advocate for civil rights. I'm a decade-long advocate for this region, and I'm fighting for our interests. We're in this together, you and I, because we don't have to take it from Albany politicians or rich downstate billionaires. This is our home, and I'm standing up to make sure that our children can stay and succeed here. I'm running for state senate because I'm working for us. Thank you.